Namaskar and welcome to Sunset Television. I am Vishal Dahiya and you're watching our show Perspective, where we bring you detailed analysis of key national and international issues. Today we're going to take a look at the sex ratio figures in India. Now, the latest National Family and Health Survey, that is NFHS 5 fact sheets of which were released recently, has indicated a positive growth in the sex ratio in India. As seen from the NFHS 5 data, for the first time since independence, the number of women in India have surpassed the number of men, which is unprecedented. India now has 1,020 women for every 1,000 men. During NFHS 3, conducted in 2005-06, the sex ratio was 1,000 to 1,000, and in NFHS 4, done in 2015-16, it declined to 991 to 1,000. Now, the NFHS 5 figures have also shown that the sex ratio at birth improved from 919 in 2015-16 to 929 in 2019-20. These statistics are a significant moment in India's socio-economic and demographic transformation story, and other findings of NFHS also convey a similar message. In today's episode, we will discuss and analyze all aspects of these figures, how this was achieved during all the past 7 to 8 years, and what all needed to be done to sustain this movement further as well, and the other aspects of these statistics and figures. And for more on this, we're joined by a distinguished panel of experts. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with, we have with us in the studio today Ms. Poonam Mutreja. She is Executive Director of Population Foundation of India. Welcome, ma'am, to Sunset Television. We're also joined by Dr. Aparajita Chattopadhyay, Professor at IIPS Mumbai, and Mr. Shankar Agarwal, former Secretary with the Ministry of Women and Child Development. Welcome, both of you as well. Let me begin with you, Professor Chattopadhyay, and let's start by going a bit deeper into those numbers which I mentioned during my introduction. If you could give us a bit of a brief as to what are we looking at in terms of data from the NFHS 5 survey, and what's the interpretation?
Thank you very much for having me here and discussing on a very pertinent topic. I have two very clear points here. Number one is about the overall sex ratio, and the second is on sex ratio at birth. Overall sex ratio, definitely whatever you have spoken just now, NFHS indicates improvement, but we should not derive to a very happy conclusion that things are, we have done. I mean, we have done enough. Because I think census is the right statistics that can give you overall sex ratio. NFHS is meant for something else. And throughout NFHS, it is not just NFHS 5, NFHS 4 as well as NFHS 3 shows that overall sex ratio is at the higher side compared to census.
Okay.
And it is meant for women-child health indicators. So we should not come to a very strong conclusion that it is beyond 1,000. Yes, I believe that next census will show some improvement, but it may not be 1,000 or beyond 1,000.
Okay.
And the other aspect is about sex ratio at birth. It is a very important indicator from a gender perspective. And usually it hovers around 109 to 110 male births or boys per 100 girls in India. And NFHS though shows a bit improvement in this respect also, sex ratio at birth. But we should not draw to a conclusion that we have achieved everything, because normal sex ratio at birth is generally 105.
Okay.
We are in a very, gender discordant side, and we should continue our program in a full-fledged manner to improve the status of women, and there are many other aspects in which we can improve their status.
Okay, we'll come to those aspects as well, but let me bring in Mr. Shankar Agarwal here also. Mr. Agarwal, would you agree what Professor Chattopadhyay is pointing out, that yes, these numbers do indicate a positive development, but we should not be content, with the fact and start patting ourselves on the back that yes, we have achieved what we set out to achieve. We will have to sustain the momentum here, and we'll have to look at the larger figures also coming in from the next census.
I would like to use the word complacent and rather than saying that contended. You see, though these numbers are very preliminary and indicative only, but these numbers do indicate a very, very significant trend. And that is that our sex ratio is improving in favor of women, one, and even at the birth, things are improving. And that means what? That there is awareness, a positive awareness about the girl child. Instead of taking them to be a liability, now people have started taking care of them because they feel they are not liability and they may be an asset. And if asset can be given some value, some additional value, they can prove to be an extremely good and valuable asset for the society.
Okay.
Second, it also indicates that the level of education is also improving among the society. So that means awareness, and secondly, the education. And third, it also indicates that the measures and the policies undertaken by various governments have also fructified in this positive direction.
Okay.
We should not be complacent on these numbers, but yes, it's an occasion to be happy.
Okay, okay, and we'll look at what needs to be done there as well. But let me first bring in Ms. Poonam Mutreja here. Ms. Mutreja, would you agree, and it would be right to say that the tide is finally turning when we are talking about the sex ratio, and obviously complacency should not be allowed to set in. But your interpretation of these numbers from the fact that there has been a positive moment.
There's no doubt that we are seeing a positive trend. I won't say turn the tide, but we are seeing a positive trend. The numbers that we have seen at birth, which is compared to the last NFHS from from 919, we've reached 929, which is a good trend if this is correct figures. We have been cautioned by both IIPS, the director also, James, has made a statement today, as well as the additional secretary, health, the day the data came out, that we'll have to wait for the census data, as you also pointed out and has been pointed out. In a country, see, the reason I am waiting more for the census data, and it's then that I will say this is a definite trend, is because India is a country where there's huge son preference still. Yes, there have been some good schemes. There have been, the slogan Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao has been a very positive slogan. Then the Ministry of Women and Child Development, where Mr. Shankar Agarwal was the secretary, has taken a lot of measures. There's no denying that, and positive measures do always have positive impact. So I am not discounting that there must be some impact, but there's also the fact that we have son preference in India. And, as fertility has declined in India, sex ratios have gone adverse because people are having fewer children, but they want definitely a son.
Okay.
And sometimes more than one son. All right? So in a society like this, I would love to declare patriarchy has been smashed and son preference has gone if we can prove through census, which is a very robust data. So is NFHS, but NFHS is not designed for capturing sex ratios fully because it is a household-based survey, while census is a population-based survey. And as Professor James, the director of IIPS, said in a statement in the last few days, because it's a household survey, they could not capture men in the army, armed forces. They could not capture people living in hostels. People in the army, and it's mainly men. People in hostels, then institutions, including people who live on the streets. So homeless people. Now, these are primarily men. So I think somewhere there, the population base we've got confused, or the numbers have got confused. So let's wait for the
census data.
But in the meantime, I would like to say that we should be encouraged. If this trend has started, we should make even more efforts.
Indeed.
In value of the girl child. We need to keep girls in, we need to keep girls not just in school. We need to take our girls to colleges, higher education, and we need to create jobs and create a climate and environment. A value for girl will also come. Why do people have boys? They say when we are old, they will look after us. They will look after incomes. Two other points I'd like to mention, which could have, which definitely would have led to a positive trend. You know, the aspirations of Indians have changed, especially thanks to the media. You all, you know, you're reaching the media dark areas where now the other half knows how the better half lives. And they've seen women, they've seen empowered women, they've seen women contributing significantly. Second, I'd like to say that in India, girls, having been given the opportunities for education, have done better in many cases than boys. And parents are very encouraged and society is very encouraged with that.
Indeed, and the real empowerment of women or the girl child is something which will go a long way.
Yes.
You made those very important points, but one point I'll take from what you said, and I'll bring it to Professor Chattopadhyay here, vis-a-vis the TFR. The TFR is coming down. That's what the NFHS 5 survey also says. And from what I gather from Ms. Mutreja's point of view, that can, sort of erode the positive, measures or positive steps in terms of that data which we are looking at, which we are already looking at right now. Is that possible? How will we tackle that also?
Yeah, thanks for this very interesting question. We have published a paper in 2012 where we have clearly indicated that with fertility decline, there is a huge chance of sex selection and distortion of the sex ratio at birth. Because if you look at the states where fertility is actually declining now, they all have son preference. So they want to fit at least one son within two children. And your deeper analysis indicates that sex ratio at birth in India worsens with wealth, women's education, urban stay, women's landholding, and if the first birth is a girl. These are really some important points to be considered at the time of policy making, because it has not happened in Southeast Asian countries. They were already socio-economically developed, well-educated. Their health system was more structured and regularized. So they implemented the things very effectively. In our case, our diversity is huge. Cultural differences are huge. And the bigger states, if adopts the son preference in a stronger way, we really need to worry in the next 10, 15 years.
Okay.
And possible way outs are, number one, it has already been discussed. I strongly believe that your teaching starts from family and school. We need a huge improvement in the school books. Even now also, we see that police is a man, doctor is a man, nurse is a girl. So it hits the young minds. Whether we have discussed the contribution of women in STEM, in pure science, whether we have ever discussed in history books that how many women contributed for freedom fights, or in our earlier history. So it helps young minds to shape their own mental construct about gender, seeing their parents and getting clues from the basic books at the school level. Second is that girls too have some responsibilities. It is, I believe that it is not man versus woman. Girls need to understand that they're not under the umbrella of 3 C's, that is caring, cooking, and cleaning. They need to stand on their own feet. So why urban women are not working? Because work participation in urban India among women is one of the lowest in the world. So we need to create a conducive environment to help them to come out of the house and contribute in the economic sector. And
Okay.
media can play a tremendous role. And I must add here that if you look at the district level media penetration, you will be surprised to see that there are still many districts in India that has no access to any kind of media, right? And obviously, we need to talk about the legal provisions that our government has already given to us. We don't know that. We don't know that we can keep our family name. We don't know that women can be a family head. We don't know that we can perform worships, rituals. So these things, media
More awareness.
awareness is
Okay.
extremely important, especially through movies and
Okay.
advertisement.
Okay, those are important points there. And if we have to look at it holistically, Mr. Agarwal, what both, Professor Chattopadhyay and Ms. Mutreja are also referring to is the overall socio-economic situation, looking at all factors, social, economical, cultural, and starting from the word go, when Professor Chattopadhyay is referring to, the school education or even the environment at home.
Yeah. Again, there's no doubt that if you really want to add value to women and to girls, and if you want to really empower them, the first and the foremost step is to empower them with good quality education. Unfortunately, in this country, our emphasis has been on literacy and not on education. And if we are able to impart good quality skills and good quality education to our girls, they, as Ma'am Mutreja said, they would be extremely valuable to the society. There's no doubt. And when I say valuable to the society, they'll be valuable to the household as well, to the family as well. So first and the foremost is we got to focus on good quality education. What is happening today in the name of education, the entire focus is on acquisition of knowledge and not on application of knowledge. Knowledge can always be acquired through books and through a whole lot of other things. But we should be able to apply that education. We should be able to add something new to the existing pool of knowledge. And that can be done only by improving the quality of education.
Okay.
Second is to take care of their health. We got to emphasize on the health of every girl, child, and girl. The moment we do that, once we are ensuring that they have got the right kind of physical and the mental development, they will have immense potential. And as somebody said, the job opportunities. You see, today, not many women are finding good quality jobs, suitable jobs for them in the urban area as well as in the rural area. We got to create situation where they can work without fear and with comfort, number one. And number two, we must create good quality jobs and not like only Silai, Bunai, Kadai kind of thing, very low level kind like a nursing academy. But today, if you talk to any average girl child of class 5 to class 8
Okay.
and ask them what they would like to become when they grow up, most of them would say they would like to be either doctor or a teacher or a police officer or an administrative officer or an engineer or a scientist. They would like to be even the pilots.
And those
They
are
would
the
like to-
aspirations which should be fulfilled.
Absolutely. So that means things are changing. The mindset is changing. Now it is our job to ensure that what they are aspiring for is given to them and an environment is created for their development.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that can be done. It's a little difficult task, but surely it can be done.
Indeed, these tasks seemingly are difficult because these involve the society at large and, diverse cultures as well and tackling various, hurdles there. But Ms. Mutreja, two aspects which I could gather. One is providing an enabling environment to the girl child so that she can prosper, she can learn and she can work and stand shoulder to shoulder with the boys or with the men as well. The other aspect, as Professor Chattopadhyay pointed out, is awareness as well. A woman or a girl should also be aware as to what her rights are in the society in that country, and economically as well, not only socially.
So while we have school education, our school education has to include an empowerment approach, making girls feel confident of their future, their capabilities, abilities. When girls don't have, why do girls leave schools? One reason they leave is that they do not have toilets in schools. Toilets have been created, but just creating a toilet is not enough maintenance. The minute a girl reaches menarche, there is a good chance she will leave school because there isn't the menstrual hygiene management. So we have to look at all these details. So young girls, retain them in school. Then we have to work on ensuring that early marriage doesn't take place. We have to eliminate it. You know, 1/5 of girls in India today still get married early, below the legal age, which means they also drop out of school. Or they've dropped out of school, so they are sent to... So we have to create enabling environment, as Professor Chattopadhyay said, including teaching gender gender equality in our textbooks. And it is not a rocket science to do that. And it is very important we not only teach more than the girls, we need to teach the boys. Because it's only when we change the boys' mindset, we bring them up so badly. Socially, we are a country that brings up our children, our boys, so differently. We keep telling the girls what, kuch nahi karo, ye nahi karo, smile nahi karo, bahar nahi jao, cycle nahi chalao. But the boys, we don't say anything to them. Even when our boys go and rape and tease girls and tease, the families don't try and protect them. So we have to, society has to change mindsets towards thinking of equality for girls and boys. And this is something the government can't do only for us.
The government has put policies in place. The government has put laws in place, the rules in place. It is for the society and individuals to follow them.
Exactly. So one place, again, I will agree with Professor Chattopadhyay, the media has a big role to change social norms, question social norms, change behavior. And I'm afraid, you know, if you look at a lot of the serials, they are so regressive in India across television channels. And they make a woman look like a Nagin is the word I would like to use. And they show women as people who just dress up, wear lots.
So stereotyping is something which needs to be done away with.
Women who dress up and sit at home and have nowhere to go but the kitchen. So we need to change those stereotypes. We need to create opportunities for our women to be able to work. You know, what is the biggest challenge for women, even if there are jobs? Women are leaving the workforce because of their caregiving role. They are responsible for not only giving birth to the child, they're responsible of taking care of the child fully, the grandmother, the mother, the mother-in-law. Where is the role of the men? Where are our men taking responsibility? They cannot take biological responsibility of having a child, but they can take the caregiving role. And finally, you know, whether it is family planning or anything, everything is seen a woman's burden. In fact, even maintaining patriarchy is seen as the change social norms. So what we really have to do is have men and women see each other as partners, and parents have to be educated, and the school teachers. So we need a massive, you know, if we could deal with COVID by changing social norms and behavior, the way we've been able to do.
Indeed.
Could you have imagined that Indians who spit all over the place will be wearing masks and not spitting, you know, or doing so many other behavior change. So it has given us an opportunity to change social norms and do behavior change and do a lot of education on health, on gender equality, and all of the things that we can then achieve.
Okay. Okay, indeed, you know, those are very important points there which you made, Ms. Mutrija, and Mr. Agarwal as well as Professor Chattopadhyay. I thank all of you very much. These are really significant aspects, as our panelists were pointing out, you know. These statistics which we are looking at from NFHS 5 survey clearly do indicate a lot of positive momentum in terms of, you know, the sex ratio aspect, or in terms of bringing that gender equality which we're talking about but the complacency cannot be allowed to set in, as our panelists were referring to, and a lot more work needs to be done, starting from the word go, from the base unit, that is from our houses, from our families, from our schools, textbooks as well, so that it is not just about these figures which we look at, but also in real life, the women are seen equal to men as well. We'll come back again with a different topic. Till then, keep watching Sunset Television. Thank you.